Alright, this begins segment 3 for Tuesday for APPsy. We pick up with gender and intelligence and discuss a little bit about Eleanor Maccabee, who shows that girls tend to show more verbal ability and boys seem to be a little bit better in math and spatial ability. But closer examination of these details shows only negligible differences between men and women in math, and in fact the differences here seem to be decreasing with each passing year. One thing that is true and has not really changed that much is that men tend to fall into the extremes of IQ more than women do, and you can see them in the graph that we have here, the extremes being at the different ends. Alright, so let's talk a little bit about some of the extremes of IQ. 70% of the population have IQs between 85 and 110. That's called the bell curve, and you see it here. It's a normal IQ curve. So as we're looking at it, 70% of the population is somewhere between 85 and 110, so they're in this general region. 95% are between 70 and 130, and retardation in the official, this is DSM-5 now, classifications are on the next slide. But there's a difference between organic retardation, the result of genetic influence or brain injury, and cultural familial retardation, which has many causes, including a lack of nutrition, abuse, etc. So there's a little bit difference in what actually causes retardation to occur. So what about the specifics? Well, for mild retardation, the answer is unknown, but about 25% seem to involve genetic or biological disorders, such as PKU, the lack of a liver enzyme needed for childhood brain cell production. There's also Down syndrome, and you need to pronounce that correctly. It's not Downs, it's Down syndrome, and that's a defect on the chromosome 21, and Fragile X syndrome, a chromosome problem mainly affecting males. Education and training may help, and mainstreaming could have an influence, and we'll talk a little bit about that in class on Tuesday. Alright, so let's get to the specifics about retardation. You can see the different terminology: profound, severe, moderate, mild, borderline. So let's take a look at the details. Mild, low 50s to 70s, can function adequately in society, potentially as academic skills up to 6th grade, can support themselves to an extent, although probably will need some assistance. Moderate, profit from vocational training, may be able to travel alone, learn at 2nd grade level, and need much more supervision and guidance than do the mild category. Severe, don't learn to talk or practice basic hygiene until age 6, can't learn vocational skills, but can carry out simple tasks with supervision. And then profound, which is an IQ below 25, constant care is needed. People in this group often have a diagnosed neurological disorder as well. So what about the other end of the spectrum? And that is, of course, giftedness. There's only about 2 in every 100 people who are 130 plus on the IQ test, and a very small number, 1 in 1 million, are 180 or above. But this is an interesting subtext in intelligence. Question is, giftedness, should it be mainstreamed? Many of you probably were in a form of a gifted class in school before you came to Ursuline, and in a sense segregated. It's an interesting conundrum as to whether or not that's beneficial, as well as the question of whether those at the lower end of the spectrum should be segregated as well. But as it says there, the stereotype of social awkwardness is not supported when it comes to the giftedness side of the equation. And that ends intelligence, so we'll pick up with mental illness and therapies in class on Tuesday.